Hi everyone, my name is Erika Buri. I'm the director of the Pollinator Park System, and this is my daughter, Madeline, and we are here to present you with So a couple of weeks ago we talked about pollinator gardens and how to attract pollinators to your yard through your gardening. This week we're going to actually cover pollinators. And just in time, the end of this month is International Pollinator Day. So join me and Madeline in talking about pollinators. Pollinators. What are pollinators? We usually think of honeybees, and certainly they are pollinators, but quite honestly, honeybees are not native to the United States. They came over with the Europeans. So we actually have some native solitary bees that are great pollinators, but birds and butterflies and moths and bats all also act as pollinators. What are the animals doing with the pollen? So bees use the pollen and they break it down and ferment it for bee food for their for their larvae. Some butterflies and moths and flies will actually eat it as well. And then nectar is the other thing that animals get from plants, from flowers. So a lot of them, it's their daily food. And bees, honeybees in particular, the way they make honey is to regurgitate the nectar over and over. So one bee will go get the nectar, bring it back to the hive, regurgitate it to another bee, who will then regurgitate it to another bee, and that gets all the water out of it. So you can tell your kids that honey is basically bee vomit. Pollination helps bees, butterflies, birds, all those animals, but it also helps the flower, because that means that more pollination means that more flowers will turn into fruit, and that means that there'll be more seeds, and that means there'll be more plants. And for us, more fruit means more food. Bees and butterflies, all pollinators, help us get at least a third of the foods that we eat. So that's something else you can do with your kids, is kind of go through your kitchen and figure out what foods you're eating require pollinators. Any of the fruits, most of the vegetables, some grasses are fly pollinated, so maybe some of your flowers. A lot of our food requires bees. So after you've talked about pollen, you can make the pollen game, and that just involves some construction paper and scissors. I made a template out of some cardboard at our house, a flower template and a middle center of the flower template. Tracing and cutting are good skills for Madeline to practice. And then we glued. So glue the center on the flower, do a couple of these, and get some pom-poms. You can use straws or chopsticks, or tape the straws together, or if you have kitchen tongs, those would work. And you can have that, you can do this a bunch of ways. Really adaptable. So they can pick them up. This is eye-hand coordination and motor skills. They can move them from flower to flower. You can time them to see who can move the most. You can make them different, the different sizes or colors, different points. Madeline's classmates were blowing them across the table to each other, so you can have them blow the pom-pom onto the flower, because wind is a pollinator. So lots of options, and very adaptable, this game. So something else to try. So the thing you can do with your kids is build bee houses, and really easy. You just need some paper. I cut some scrap paper into half sheets, something to roll the paper around so you can make rolls like so, and then a container. A tin can works, half of a water bottle. I drink a lot of iced tea, so this is my iced tea container. And toilet paper rolls are helpful because you can pack the paper rolls in them, and things don't slide around quite so much. So you roll the paper up into a tube, and then you use Scotch tape just to tape it closed, and you stuff it into a container. And you want to fill it up pretty full. I can probably stuff a few more in here. And then you hang it up in a tree. I would make a couple. Not only does it keep your kids busy, but it also helps spread out the bees. So kind of like with the beehive, which is subject to parasites, if all the bees only have one place to go and that's where they go, it's, you know, subject to parasites or predation. So somebody might just figure out there's next bee larvae in there and come and eat them all. So a couple of these would be great for your yard. So once you have your beehive, your bee house made, you can hang it up in your yard. You're going to want to clean it out though once the season is over, and refill it. So it's something you can do every year. If water gets in there, you're going to want to make sure to start over. You're going to want to make sure there aren't any bees in there to begin with. Also, I put holes in the bottom of this so that there's some air circulation through. But again, any kind of container, water bottle, tin can, you can decorate the outside if you want, and then hang it up in your yard. Great activity for kiddos, especially on a rainy day. So this last activity is strictly a spend time craft. Doesn't really have any learning unless you want to talk about butterfly wings and patterns. I mean, you could certainly do that. Look up different kinds of butterflies and color your butterflies according to that. But what I ended up doing was taking my flower template and cutting out a petal to make it a butterfly. And then using popsicle sticks to make their bodies, and we turned it into a mobile. I can untangle it here. There are a million patterns for mobiles on the internet. You can use cupcake tins and clothespins, or if you have, see, there we go. Or if you have pipe cleaners and tissue paper, I mean, whatever you want. You could make 6 different kinds of these, and your kiddos would have butterfly mobiles all over the place. So it got windy and all my stuff is blowing everywhere, but one other thing that you can look into and have your kids check out is how flowers attract pollinators. There's some really cool science out there about how that happens, and that would be worth looking into too. So hope you guys enjoy your summer. We sure have been, especially with this awesome weather. Have a great day. Say bye, Madeline.
Bye.